Hello everyone and welcome back to some Super Mario Maker 2, where today we're hopefully going to be starting off a new series. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have either seen or even played some troll levels in the past, and there's a lot of people who are out there playing them, like DGR, Ryu, and a bunch of others. And yeah, playing them's a lot of fun, but I honestly enjoy making them a lot more. And I've actually made a few. And they have some pretty complex mechanisms and psychology behind them. So that's what I want to be talking to you today about. What is the psychology behind some of these troll levels, as well as the mechanisms and other things? So without further ado, let's jump into the first episode of Trollosophy, Behind the Wah Says Nah. So without further ado, let's go. But first, I actually wanted to give a huge thank you to Meow Meow, because he's the guy who somewhat inspired me to make some of these levels. That being because he's the first person to actually clear my first troll level in Mario Maker 1. That being DGR's Torture Asylum. And without him and some of his feedback, I probably wouldn't have made some of these troll levels in Mario Maker 2. At least not the same way. So yeah, this series probably wouldn't have happened without him, so I want to give a huge shout out to him. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the Maxton family for being the first person to clear this level. I actually have my next level out as well, that being Waluigi number 2, Electric Boogaloo. The ID for that will be in the top left corner for like a few seconds, I believe. But yeah, without that, let's jump right into the beginning of a level. And right away we see a few major things about this. The beginning of a level is the very first thing the player sees, and as such it includes a bunch of different things, at least in my troll levels. What do I mean by this? I mean it has a bunch of things that the player can do, a bunch of options. Such in this case, if you're standing still, you get locked in this box, and your first instruction is to kill the Cheep Cheep. And now you're still trapped in the box. So how do you escape? Now, one common trope in a lot of levels is that there are dev blocks at the very beginning. And that's actually true here. So let's go ahead and hit them. Yeah, no, I wasn't going to let the player off easy on this one. Also, some players are probably pretty good. And they probably are realizing, hey, you can jump up here. And you're right. Except you get a bunch of boos to the face. And the solution is actually quite simple. It's just run forward. And in most cases you would be crushed by the Cheep Cheep, but because invincibility frames, because I'm playing in Maker mode, it doesn't happen. The actual solution is just hold right and then run back. And there you go. Now, next up we get the introduction of our first real part where we can wait. And we have a dilemma. Now, it's expected that this exclamation block is going to be crushing us. So, we don't want to ground pound that. But how do we get up then? Well, we're in 3D world style, so we can actually just wall jump up. Yeah. Now normally I don't include that many off-screen thwomps, as a lot of people consider them cheap. But in this case, it's sort of a reverse troll, because you're expecting the exclamation block to sort of take a path like this. And in this case, if you ground pound it, you're just dead. So most people won't ground pound it in order to avoid that. When the actual solution is just to ground pound it. And then you just of course have to get out of the way. But that's the first real screen out of the way. Its main purpose is to give the player a bunch of options, but not be that challenging. Now, the rest of the first section I can't say the same about. The first section of the level is from the beginning to CP1, and this should serve one main purpose. Make it so the player doesn't want to reset. Make them not want to go ahead, hit the try again button. The reason for this is if you have an anti-soft lock in your level, you want to make it so they actually stay in the anti-soft lock and say, instead of just saying, I don't want to go through this, I'm just going to start over the level. Because then they'll remember how hard the first part of a level is. So in this section, you should most likely include some of your tougher platforming sections and less of a puzzle element. So that we can go ahead, go up here, and now we're in the next section. Now from a normal player, we would see this, and it has a few main components. One, it has that old swamp. 2, it has a warp box that's locked. 3, it has the bombs, and 4, it is obviously being scroll stopped. Now we can't do anything with the swamp or the warp box, and the scroll stop, we obviously have to blow up with the bomb. So, yeah, that's actually right. We just take this, go up here. Now let's try that again, but without failing. Now we can move on, go through the pipe, jump over here, grab the key. Alright, ride the big swamp. Oh, wait, what? So what just happened? First of all, how did this Bill Blaster appear? And let's go over that first. Now, a common trick in troll levels is spawn blocking. It's a pretty common technique, but not everyone knows about it. So let me give a quick rundown. You have ground, and you have an object overlapping. Let's use a Bill Blaster in this case. Now, ground takes precedence. So, when the block gets loaded, as you can see, the object disappears, that being the Bill Blaster. And this happens when we reload the room. Immediately when the room is loaded, the Bill Blaster is blocked and it can't get loaded. But if we destroy this block, now the Bill Blaster can get loaded because there's no ground in the way. Although it's not spawning out of thin air because right now the room isn't being loaded, it's already loaded. So how do we load it again? Well, that's by reloading it. And we can do this in a few ways, going through a pipe, going through a warp box, going through a door, or just going off screen. Then if we head back, it reloads the room, and because that block isn't there, the object is now able to spawn, that being a Bill Blaster. And that's actually what's going on here. Let me erase all this. So, as you can see, we have this Bill Blaster. It's blocked by a hard block. So, when this area first gets loaded, the Bill Blaster can't spawn, but this bomb actually destroys this hard block. So then when you go far enough right, the room gets deloaded, then it gets reloaded when you come back left, but now because that hard block isn't there, the Bill Blaster is now able to spawn. And that's basically how spawn blocking works. Now, it only works if you reload the room. So, what if we went ahead and did this? We went ahead and go far enough this way, but we don't go all the way to the key. Well, the Bill Blaster doesn't actually spawn. With that, we're actually able to head back. And no Bill Blaster. But what does this accomplish with us? Well, it actually accomplishes something pretty simple. We have another spawn blocked object. This being a bomb with a key in it. Now, this bomb is left more than this Bill Blaster. So, that means you don't have to go as far right to reload it. And in fact, if you go on this blue little spike block, then It doesn't let this Bill Blaster respawn, but it's far enough to let this Bomb respawn. So because of that, if we go like this, right now it's being spawn blocked. There we go. So now it's just deloaded. Once it gets reloaded, it'll be able to deal with it. The cannon is unloaded. The cannon is still unloaded. But now we've gone off screen for the bomb. And then we're able to head through again. And there we go. Or not. I don't think I went far enough. Whoops. There we go. And now the bomb has spawned. And if you're wondering why I used the bomb, it's just to blend in with the other bombs. Although I don't want it going off screen, so that's why I have it in the separate area. We're able to kill that, and then we're able to go into the warp box. And we're immediately dead. And as you can see down here, there's the checkpoint. So we're almost to the CP1. So let me just go ahead and make a couple of little things. Now, let's try that again. We died by a fish, but we can also die by spike block. Yeah, we can't do anything. Also, you might have noticed that this conveyor is on-off switch based, so we obviously need to not trigger one of these on-off blocks. And we can do that, actually, let me just demonstrate it really quickly. If we're coming back like this, we actually have two options. We can just long jump to avoid pressing it, do a short hop, or we can hit it and then we can do a nice little wraparound jump. If you have skills, let me try that again. Just do a little wraparound jump, and there you go. Any of those options, turn it to off, and you want it to be off, obviously. So there we go, we win. Nope, we still have those cheeps to deal with. So obviously we need to run right. Or run left. Run. Yeah, no. Still not enough speed. We still get crushed by the cheeps. So the answer is just a small little bit more complicated. Now we have springs blocking our path, but we can actually bounce off those springs in order to just get barely enough distance in order to avoid the cheeps. And there we go. That's CP1. And with that, now we're on to the second section. The second section is also somewhat to be annoying, but less platform based and more tedious. More things that require waiting, like P-switch timers and such. This is in order, so if you have a CP1, which we do, is to encourage the player to find a CP1 to be worse than just having a small little death area. Because if you have a CP1, then they have to wait through the entire CP1 to CP2 section again. But before we do that, I should probably explain how this kills me, because I immediately die after touching that checkpoint. Well, it's actually pretty simple. We have this swamp here, and this swamp is an enemy. Now, as you might know, enemies die when touching a Mario, Luigi, whatever character you're playing as, when they have a superstar. And as you know, checkpoints can actually have power-ups in them now. So it's a very simple little troll. You go through here, you get the superstar, you kill the thwomp, and you're not making it back. And then when you spawn, you don't get the superstar, and then you're able to just head back through. Also, when you reach a CP1, it also does a very similar thing. I'll be pointing out the CP ones on our journey, but I won't be taking every one. They all basically land you in this pit, and then you're forced to go ahead and go for this clear pipe, and that just results in you grabbing the CP1. So yeah, that's the first section, and now let's head into the sub area. Now immediately we start with a little bit of waiting, that being of a bomb timer. This is to make the player a little bit more impatient, because if you just waited for something, you want to go fast. So we need to go for this clear pipe. Now, you might have noticed, but there's a thwomp up there that's obviously going to trigger those on-off blocks. Except it's a sideways thwomp, so it won't. Then we have another one. This one's a downward thwomp, so you want to hit this. That turns it on, and then the thwomp turns it off. And now we have another sideways thwomp. This guy we need to activate, and then we get hit by a lava bubble. This lava bubble is being spawn blocked at the very beginning by this bomb, and very simply just once you come back, it goes ahead and starts flying through the pipes at very high speeds. So how do we survive this? Now, in most of my troll levels, I try to avoid using invisible blocks very much. That's because they're kind of cheap some of the time. Especially if you have like a pit and then you just block the player in. But I do have one in this level, although I try to indicate it with the coin. And it's right over by the thwomp. So how do we beat this thwomp? Well, we need to trigger it. Wait, go back through, and then we can activate the invisible block. And there we go. Now we're on to the next section. Now, this is obviously all we need to do. Now we can just go ahead and activate those on-off blocks. Go through, and we're dead. And that's because we didn't do two major things in this section. So let's go ahead and do those two things. Now, in this level I use a lot of spawn blocking, as you probably can tell. Now, one of those being here, actually. These hard blocks are actually spawning multiple things. The first being, of course, a cannon that gives us a builder suit. And now that we have the builder suit, we can actually break these blocks open, which are actually spawn blocking something of their own. If we go over here, you can see that it releases lava bubbles. One of these lava bubbles has a key. So yeah, just a bunch of spawn blocking. But with that, we now have access to a key and the builder suit. And with that, we can actually create a crate. Make sure you follow the crate closely. As you just saw, I threw one already. I'm going to throw another one. And that first one is unloaded. So, just a small little thing there. Then we have this little section. It's just for damage boosting. Now obviously, since we went through that, its whole purpose is to make you hold right and go right into those spikes. Mostly because you don't want to be crushed by this swamp, which is the actual solution. Now, here, we just want to jump for the key. Yeah, nope, fish. But because this isn't an actual pit, it's not that bad. We can let the swamp come down, then we go through the invisible, or the warp box. We have some nice little fish, and now we're about to die to a Goomba. But if we jump, that happens. So a lot of stuff to unpack. This section is pretty simple, with just this warp box makes you think you're going here, one really takes you here, and then this is just bonefish. But how did I make the floor collapse? Like, there's swamp contraptions in all the other 4 game styles, but we don't have swamps in 3D, or we don't have... Well, I guess we do have swamp contraptions in 3D world, but I'm not gaining any height because of these invisible blocks. So what's going on here? Well, it's actually pretty simple. That being, we have our favorite rodent, the skipsqueak. Now, as you know, when Toad or whoever jumps, no matter where they jump, the skipsqueak tends to jump with them. And giant skipsqueaks can actually activate buttons. So yeah, that giant skipsqueak is doing all the work. And with that, we go down here. And this is actually why we have it set to airship. One last kind of annoying troll before the checkpoint. This snake block. Now it's clearly here in the editor, but if you actually go ahead and play the level, as you can see, the airship theme scrolls up and down. And as you can see, it makes it hard to see the snake block. And with that, we're able to reach the 3rd checkpoint, or 2nd checkpoint. So let's go ahead and grab that. Go ahead here. And no, it's a fire piranha plant. So what are you supposed to do? Not that. Just when you're here, go ahead and wall jump up. And with that, we can grab the 2nd checkpoint. And now we reach the real puzzling part. Now, the second whole part was to be tedious and platforming based. The 3rd part is all puzzle, and its main goal is to send you back to CP1. And that starts immediately with the first CP1 right here. Now, most people would see that first pipe and say, well, that's an obvious CP1. And they might find, hey, I can go up here. This is not a CP1 because it was harder to get to. When in all actuality, this is the only one I'm going to show off. But yeah, this takes you back to that wonderful little room, which then, of course, takes you back to CP1. That's the first of many CP1s. So, what do we do? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We need to go through this pipe. And this leads us to this section. And here we have a bunch of stuff. We have all this stuff to do with Cat Mario. And then we have this, which is a indestructible wall. And you know how I said this was a very puzzling section? Yeah, this is a very puzzling section. So, let me put it all into perspective. We have really 4 major sections. One section is this outside section. This section doesn't require anything, but it allows us to get this if we go down here, a hammer suit. And we can get it simply by just going up here and jumping down. Just make sure to land in this pit, because this pit is for a red POW. This red POW is complete bait. Mostly because it just leads to Goombas. What you need to do is just go over here. Go ahead, hit this block. Activate the snake block. Grab the builder suit. And make sure not to miss your ride, like I just did. And there we go, we got ourselves a builder suit. So that's one section. The outside section gives us a builder suit. Then we have this section. This section either gives us one cat bell, or a cat bell, or if we have this, these two cannons are spawn blocked. These cannons will also give us a cat bell. So if we actually click on that, that actually gives us a cat bell. So this is a permanent source of cat bells. Just we also have this, which if we go past this point, we are not allowed to get back. Unless we're crouching when we originally go up here. What do I mean by this? Let me actually pull it off here. If you actually slide, and then you let the P-switch timer run out, the block actually, it allows us to get under. But yeah, so this whole section gives us a cat bell. We have this section, which requires the hammer suit. So it's sort of a hammer suit lock. Then we have another hammer suit lock. And then we have this. Here we have another minor troll. And then we have a piranha creeper. This piranha creeper is actually another lock of itself. It's a red POW block lock. Because we need a red POW block in order to kill it. Also, if you're wondering what's down this pipe, it's just a POW block. And this POW block does absolutely nothing, and it instead brings you back to CP1. So, how do we get a red POW? Well, there's actually a secret little section up here. Now, you might have noticed this little section, it needs a couple little exclamation blocks. Yeah, all the exclamation blocks in this section are all bait. Please don't hit them. Or the red POW. But we have this red POW up here. Now, if we were able to get up here, we would be able to grab this red POW and use it on the piranha creeper. In order to do that, this is a catsuit lock. So basically, we need a hammer suit in order to get through here. We need a catsuit in order to get up here. And then we need the red POW in order to get down here. So the order of doing stuff is a little bit complicated. But it goes a little something like this. Step 1. Go here and collect these two catsuits. These are just going to get in the way later. Step 2. Go up here and grab the hammer suit or builder suit. Don't mess it up. There we go. Really? Let's try that again. While it's a little bit risky, I'm just going to go for it like this. The reason I was collecting those catsuits before is because this hammer suit's only one time. And those catsuits basically remove it. Alright, we avoided it. We want to collect those coins in order to get the catsuit cannon later. Make sure to duck under that third coin there in order to actually allow you back so the bill blaster doesn't spawn. And now we're actually able to move on. What we want to do with this builder suit is we want to destroy these two builder suit locks. Also, yes, you can go under here because you have the ability to roll. So we destroy those two builder block locks, and then we're able to take our builder suit, and now we're going to go exchange it for the cat suit. And that's why we did all this stuff up here. Now, because we didn't destroy that last third coin block, we didn't destroy this. The one right above me, the Bill Blaster never spawned, so we're able to get back. And because we collected 2 coins down here, the cannon with the cat suit spawned. And that allows us to have the cat suit. And since those 2 builder block locks are gone, we're able to go all the way through here with the cat suit. And now we're able to climb up this wall. And because of that, now we can go grab the POW block. And this POW block unlocks the Piranha Creeper lock. Which of course I just messed up. So now we have the red POW, which we're able to go ahead and use in order to kill the Piranha Creeper. And there we go. We're able to pass through here now. And now we get to the fun part. Actually dealing with the next section. And it's actually the last in its kind. But first we have a bonsai bill. That might be used for something later. Next we have this, which is another red POW. But as soon as we go in here, yeah, we're locked in. And this of course leads us to another CP1. So how do we avoid this? Well, maybe we just don't need the red POW. Alright, let's go this way. Alright, a bomb can actually destroy these red POWs and activate the bridge. Let's try that again. Imagine being good at your own troll level. Anyway, that gives us a key and it lets us enter the yellow pipe. We enter over here. And then we can go ahead and there's the flagpole underneath that second warp box. But sadly, since we have a key, we go through that first warp box and that takes us back to CP1. So what do? Well, this is a slightly less complicated thing than before, but it's still pretty complicated. In order to get to the flagpole, we must bypass this. And this requires us to not have a key, which requires 2 things. 1, the on-off state must be set to on in order to not crush the Goomba up here. And we must not kill this bomb. Now, the only problem with this is we have to do something in order to get this little bridge to form. And the bomb seems to be the only way. At least at first. But, yes, bombs can activate red POWs, but also red POWs can activate red POWs. So, this is actually another red POW lock. But where can we get a red POW? The one over here is impossible to get to, right? I mean, it locks us in. Well, it does. But did you know bonsai builds are actually useful in this game style? You can see where I'm going with this. Now, bonsai builds in 3D actually destroy stuff, including invisible blocks. So all we have to do is just blow a hole in this. And that allows us to go ahead and grab the red POW. And this allows us to open up the red POW lock, that being the one with the bomb. So let's go ahead and do this. There you go, ba-bum. Don't worry, it doesn't give you the key from falling off. Then we can go ahead and enter here. We have no key. And we're able to reach the flag. And with that, that was everything in this level. Definitely, yes. Well, except for a few small things. There's two little CP ones that I wanted to point out. The one up here for the Explorer. If you climb up this wall, you might notice this exclamation block. You're probably thinking, hey, this is where you hit the exit. No, that's just a CP1. And then the other one is just a simple pipe off the side of the end of it, of the end of a level. Now, I believe someone is very good at doing YOLO jumps. And they'll most likely do a YOLO jump here. And this is just another CP1. But yeah, that basically wraps up the level. And because it's the end of the episode, I want to go ahead and play through the level in full. Start off by doing this. Go up here. Activate the thwomp. Wait a second. Hit those. Go to the edge of that. Don't die there because that would be embarrassing. There we go. Go through. Bounce off the springs. And I'm just going to grab the checkpoint just because I don't want to do that section again. We start here. We're able to get through the pipe. Go through there. Bada boom, bada bing. Hit the invisible block. And yes, it can destroy the thwomp, but the thwomp isn't important after this, so it doesn't really matter. Respawn the launcher. That's not the right lava bubble, I don't think. Yeah. Let's try that again. Oh, I must have had it. Huh. Weird. There we go. Go through. Take damage. Go through. Don't die to cheap, because that'd be a very cheap death. Grab key. Hold run right. Fall on snake. Got second checkpoint. Alright, attempt number 9,009,999. Let's do this. First up, grab the cat suit. Second up, go grab the hammer suit. Third up, go back for the pipe, grab these 2 coins, avoid these 2 coins. This is all in the name of not spawn blocking some things and spawn blocking some other things. Go over here. Destroy these hard blocks. Go through here. Go through here. Because those blocks are there, one Bill Blaster doesn't spawn. This one down here does though. This gives us the cat suit. Go through here. Go all the way through here. Go up here, grab the red POW. And how about we don't mess it up this time? I'm having a surprisingly long journey with this. And I messed that up. Is there any way to respawn the Bonsai Bill? That does not respawn him, although I do believe that this will. Now I did lose my red POW, so I'll have to go grab a new one. But if I go through the pipe, I go ahead, grab a red POW, I should be able to go ahead and kill the Piranha Creeper. And I'll be able to respawn the Bonsai Bill. Go down here. There we go. And because of that, now we should respawn it. Yes, we do. There we go. And there we go. We now have the red POW. Let's not mess this up. Alright. Let the bomb pass. Go ahead, go through the pipe. And with that, the level is complete. Now, is this my best level? Definitely not. This was largely a test on how a lot of stuff worked in 3D World, like the exclamation blocks. And I honestly didn't know what I was doing for some of it. A lot of the concepts are in place, but a lot of the trolls are a little bit too tricky or aren't clear. So, it does have problems. But it's my first. I definitely feel like my second one has a lot of improvements, which will hopefully be the next episode if people enjoy this. So yeah, that's the Wah Says Nah. Will I do more episodes of this? I have no idea. If you guys like it, please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's the Wah Says Nah. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.